Guys, Keir was on Loose Women. Do we know about this? Do you know about the Keir appearance on Loose Women?
Last year we launched our Facing It Together campaign, didn't we? Yes. Encouraging friends, family and loved ones.
You know what Loose Women is? It's like a daytime talk panel show for women.
To support those living with domestic abuse.
For like, stay-at-home mothers who are at home all day and need something to watch at 11 in the morning.
This week, the government's announced a whole raft of measures and around £1 billion to make life for victims and survivors better, including special rape and sexual investigation teams in every police force in England and Wales by 2029. New measures to tackle things like misogyny in schools and also protecting young people online. So will any of this make any difference whatsoever? Well, there's only one person that can really answer that. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Welcome. It's been a while, isn't it?
It has.
Yes.
But a good day to be here.
Yeah.
To be launching this.
We've been waiting for you. I saw you at 10 Downing Street. I was like, what's going on? When are you coming down?
I said I'd come on.
Well, I think what you actually said was
we wanted to save it for a special day.
Well, I think what you actually told her is that you're a little bit scared of
a little bit nervous.
A little bit nervous. But it's fine. We don't bite. It's fine. Well, look, as you said, you're on the show here today to talk about something that's really important and it is linked to our Facing It Together campaign. And I remember when you were releasing the manifesto, when you were planning to become, well, when you were hoping to become Prime Minister, you sort of said you want to halve the amount of violence against women and girls. Yeah. And you've made all these announcements this week. We've got a lot of mums, sisters, daughters, nieces. We've got so many women who watch and engage in the show, so many women in the audience today. What you need to be able to convince us that any of these changes will make any difference whatsoever?
I think they will make a difference, and we must make a difference. Let me start by saying I really wanted to come on Loose Women.
I didn't realise how... Well, I didn't realise how... What would the word be? Like salient? How yeah, I think salient is probably the word. The whole I wasn't really aware of how salient, how many people actually are think about things like violence against women and girls. And it's not like, reform types like, the ones that talk about rape all the time. I didn't realize that normie women actually know about terms like femicide and shit like that. I didn't realize how common some of the more like almost radfem seeming stuff was in the UK until like earlier this year when I briefly had a social life for all of 3 months. But yeah, I still see it on like Instagram stories and shit like that, people posting about, oh, this amount of women killed this year and all this sort of shit, you know what I mean? So I didn't realize how common this was, but I guess it is. I guess it kind of is.
To launch this strategy because of your campaigning on this, and because I know that we can only do this if we do it together.
Yes.
Now, halving violence against women and girls is really difficult. Let me say that up front. I've been working on this issue for the best part of 20 years.
Wow.
When we were doing it in criminal justice, we took measures. They moved the dial a bit, but halving it is really, really difficult.
Yeah, because the numbers are stark.
So what we've done, I won't go through all the measures, but we've got a whole load of measures which put in better protection if you've been subjected to violence of any sort, domestic abuse, domestic violence, sexual violence. So much better support for victims and survivors. But the bit that's different in this strategy, which I think is likely to help us make the difference, is the preventative bit. In my world, when I was chief prosecutor, I was always dealing with what do we do after the event when someone has come forward and said something's happened to me, which is hard enough to do, by the way. Now we're also doing how do we look at prevention, particularly talking to teenagers.
So in schools,
In schools. So I was in a school yesterday looking at a pilot of what we're going to do. We had 11 and 12-year-olds as a group, and we had 17-year-olds. And they were going through some of the work we're going to be doing with them, looking at relationships and going through a conversation. What is a healthy relationship? What is an unhealthy relationship? They all had various words to put on the floor as to whether they thought it was healthy or unhealthy. And then they were being asked to pick out particular words of why they thought that was either healthy or unhealthy. It was really good. And I would...
Prime Minister, in the 20 years that you've been looking at violence against women, you will have seen the enormous increase, and particularly in sexual violence, particularly amongst younger and younger people. 41% of young girls talk about having experienced sexual violence in intimate relationships.
Okay, but they say the increase, but is it actually an increase, or is it an increase in reporting? I just so struggle to believe it's actually like an increase of rape, you know, over the last 30, 40 years. I just don't buy that at all.
And we know the culprit. You know, I mean, in Australia, they've just banned smartphones for 16-year-olds. And here in the UK, we know that it's online, the access to it, and also the complete lack of accountability for all of the big tech platforms. What can you actually do about what's causing it, rather than dealing with the problem once it's out in our society?
Yeah, firstly, I completely agree with you that...
Yeah, for real. Dude. Right. I say that at the same time, everyone started becoming left-handed, rape suddenly started going up, so did autism, and being gay, and being trans. All these, it must all be the same. It must be being left-handed must cause you to be autistic, gay, trans, rapist. That's what it must be, because it all lines up, doesn't it? On the stats, they all go up at the same time.
One of the worrying trends is the age at which there's abuse is going down.
Younger.
And it was one of the most depressing pieces of research I ever read about 10 years ago, that the young women most likely to be subject to abuse were in the 16 to 19-year-old category, because I think most of us had probably assumed it was more likely to be in the sort of purely adult space.
But also sexual practices that are now treated as normal. Jess Phillips is talking about teaching her children about strangulation. I mean, when I was a teenager, I thought we were pretty, you know...
Yeah, but we've taken action on that. Social media's made it worse. It's not the cause of it, it's made it worse. It's been with us for a very, very long time. It's much more prevalent than people think, and still 9 out of 10 victims and survivors don't feel able to come forward, so we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg.
But when they come forward, they don't get...
Why is this show called Loose Women? It is like the most popular women's talk show, or the only one really in the UK.
Prosecutions don't happen either.
Well, not enough of them, and not quickly enough. And I'm sick to death of stories of... well, the one I heard last week of a 14-year-old girl who had to wait 4 years for her case to come to court. Imagine waiting that long. Imagine a 14-year-old 4 years later being cross-examined about what happened to her. But just on social media, we do...
No, they're talking about fucking choking porn and shit like this, and people choking each other. It's like a whole big thing. It's like, again, it is again one of those same things that's tied up in that whole femicide thing. There's like, you know, a lot of feminists in the UK now want basically all depictions of violence against women banned. Because they're like, oh, well, if you have anyone get choked in porn, then people choke in real life. If people choke in real life, then they use it as an excuse to get out of murder when they get tried in court. So you can't do any of it. So we have to ban all of it. Ban all of it. It's very stupid. It's very stupid, and no one will just, you know, stand up and say, hey, listen, I understand women dying's bad. It doesn't mean we have to ban everything, though. You don't get to do whatever you want in pursuit of safety for women.
We need to take measures, and we are. The Online Harms Act is in place, but we have to talk to teenagers, and boys in particular. I think it's really difficult for teenage boys to navigate.
But you also have to deal with the tech platforms.
We do have to deal with the tech platforms. We need to look at what measures we can put in place, particularly things like nudification images being passed between teenagers. Again, you'll be really shocked at the high percentage of those. So we're
Well, I won't be
taking
shocked,
measures
'cause
there.
I've got 2 teenage
Yeah.
daughters.
Yeah.
You talk about misogyny in schools and tackling that and preventative measures, which I wholly embrace. My question to you is, when it comes to this kind of thing with misogyny, it doesn't always scream, it often whispers. How are you tackling it, or is there misogyny at Westminster?
Oh, there's undoubtedly misogyny at Westminster. I think it's everywhere. I doubt, in truth, there are many people across the country who don't know somebody who's been subject to abuse. It is really difficult.
Well, you know someone very close, one of our closest allies, shall we say, recently used the language quiet piggy. Would you allow for someone to speak
Getting
to
pressed
your
about
daughter,
Trump on Loose
your
Women?
wife,
Fuck you. Fuck you. Stop speaking to the Prime Minister like that. Fuck you.
your colleagues, in the way that Trump spoke
This woman should be in jail. This woman's a traitor or something, bro. She should be in jail for this. You should be.
female journalists?
No, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't.
And would you class that as misogyny, and would that be something you would be looking at?
I would call it out, but I would also say part of the stuff we're doing in teenagers is talking about behaviours they might not think are problematic, but in fact
that they learned online.
Yeah,
It's being,
so-
it's
Not
being
just
normalised.
online,
Where
they're
the-
learning from the top.
They're learning from the top, and one of my concerns is that if you're a 13 or 14-year-old, I mean, I feel this quite acutely because our children are 15 and 17, so this is...
Boy and a girl, isn't it?
A boy and a girl, yeah. Our boy's 17, our little girl's 15. It's very hard for a teenager to understand what is an appropriate relationship because they haven't got much to go on. They've got their home situation.
Yeah, but
unless it's at school, talking to teachers, talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I was one glimmer of hope yesterday, because people often say to me, how can you be optimistic about this? It's a big problem. The young people were quite...
What a stupid thing. Like, people really ask that. They say, how can you be optimistic about this? It's a big problem. Well, yeah, but, equality for women has only increased over the last, 200 years or whatever the fuck. We've done nothing but make progress, so why would you not be optimistic about it? I understand, it's a bit more common in the last couple years to have people like Andrew Tate or whatever the fuck saying it's awesome to pimp women out or whatever. Well, that's just, everyone's dealing with that right now. That's every group is dealing with the internet making it easier for content to get popular hating on them, right?
Confident in talking about what they saw were the problems, because I thought we had cameras in there. I'm coming along, but they actually were quite confident in coming forward. Now, that will vary, but I was really pleased about that.
Because it's not as though schools have been sat there doing absolutely nothing about it.
No.
There are schools up and down the country that have been trying really hard in their own ways to try and reverse a trend that we see happening. And so is it fair then to just solely put it on schools? Do parents not have a responsibility to learn how to talk to their children about these things? And you talk about your kids at 15 and 17. When did you first start talking to them about things like sex, porn, coercion, control, all of that stuff?
Yeah, we have to talk to them about all the challenges that they face as teenagers. And but this responsibility is actually on all of us. It's on us as government, it's on families, on parents, on teachers, and not just a responsibility. We will only do this if everybody plays their part. That's why I honestly wanted to come on here to, because of your campaign, Face It Together. That is really important. The government can't do this alone. We need to reach in. There are lots of different things people... If you're a business...
What is this?
One of the initiatives I've seen, which is really good, is to have a little space, maybe over coffee.
Yes, you were
where
like the
somebody
30th person
may
to make
have
the
had
Loose Women
something happen
joke.
to them can go and talk in confidence. Because if you're a woman in an abusive, controlling relationship, it's very likely your perpetrator is going to be watching what you're doing, seeing if you're going to tell anyone, telling anyone in the family. Where's the quiet space where you might just start a conversation?
But that requires money, and you have said that there's almost £1 billion that's going to be put forward to this.
Yeah, just over.
£20 million is going to be for schools. But, we do not have a magic money tree, so where are you planning on getting the money from?
We don't have a magic money tree. We put quite a bit of money behind this, so £1.2 billion, so it's a significant... This is the biggest initiative on violence against women and girls. I'm leading it myself with Jess Phillips because... one of the reasons I actually went from law into politics is because I was frustrated on things like violence against women and girls, that within criminal justice we couldn't do enough. We needed it to be broader. So we're putting the money in. There will always be the, challenge of should you put more money in. I would say we put a lot in. I'd also say that for some of the stuff in schools, it's not that resource intensive. It's just a way of making sure it's happening in every school, that it's teachers. We had third-party, we had Tender, who are experts in the field with us yesterday, helping with this. That's not that expensive. I'm not saying it's nothing, but money is important, but it's not everything. It's actually the cultural change.
When you say, I'm listening to you talking, there's a few words that you've said, being alone, community and cultural change. And at the moment, obviously this scheme is very important. But I've got to be honest with you, at the moment, from what I hear outside, whether being a woman, a single woman, a woman of colour, a woman from working class background, there's a really heavy despair in the community, in the UK right now. We are the United Kingdom, we've got child poverty at the top. We've got social workers with cases they cannot manage. We're calling ambulances, it's taken an hour, 10 minutes for them to come. And I feel like as a community, as a country, they feel disconnected from you. They don't know whether you understand what they're going through. People working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, they're tired, social services...
Dude, like, what? Okay, this is a worthless question. This is a worthless question. She's like, don't you think you're, like, out of touch? Don't you think you could bring up all these numbers and all this is so out of touch? You try and... I hate this way of thinking, man. I can't stand it. I literally can't stand it. It's like they find it like you are inherent. If you talk about policy and talk about trying to fix issues within like our means and like you're not just throwing money at stuff, and they get immediately annoyed. If you don't just say, yeah, we're coming to your house to give you £5,000 tomorrow, and there's going to be an enforcement agent there who's going to, if you've got an abusive husband, you're going to be split up and he's going to be thrown in jail right then and there, and you're going to be totally safe and give him millions of pounds right there. That's like what they want to hear. And if they don't hear that, it's like, aren't you out of touch? Like, really? You're talking about percentages and fucking PSHE classes focusing on violence against women? Really? Aren't you out of touch? It's like so fucking annoying, man. And this is like so much of the public. It's so much of the general public.
Do you feel knowing that generational voters for Labour are starting to feel like they do not want to vote anymore?
Well,
how do you feel about that?
I want to take up that challenge because I'm acutely aware that the cost of living is the #1 issue for most families up and down the country. And therefore, it's really important, as we did in the budget, that we take measures to tackle the cost of living. So we're taking £150 off energy bills. That's on top of the 150 off energy bills for 6 million of the most vulnerable families. We made a major move on child poverty by lifting the cap on benefit. That will take 500,000 children out of poverty. That is why I came into politics.
So
I don't want a country where we have poverty on that level across our country.
But the ones who are sitting here right now, the ones who are watching this and feeling like their voice is not being heard, what would you say to them?
One Netflix show is all it takes. I don't think it's just the Netflix show. I mean, obviously you're kind of tongue-in-cheek there. But the Andrew Tate shit has kind of been a psychosis in the country for a while, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like, I was just thinking, I was like, you know, I have been asked like several times by like people like 35 and older, like what I think of Andrew Tate. Like many times over the last 6 years or so, however long it's been since he started being kind of popular. As if they're like probing, as if they're like trying to, you know, yeah, exactly, like they're panicked, they're like probing, they're worried that every like, you know, male under whatever age has gone totally insane and thinks it's awesome to beat women. Which, I mean, okay. Lesbian talk shows like The View and Loose Women are so good. Okay, dude.
The ones who are desperate, they're on their edge, they don't know what they can do next to make a change in their life, and they're waiting on you as the leader of this country. What would you say to them?
I listen, I hear, and then I act. And you have listening. Everything I know about violence against women and girls has come because I listened. One of the first encounters I had was with John and Penny Clough. Their daughter, Jane, was murdered by her ex-partner who had also raped her. They wanted to come and see me to tell me what an awful experience they had in the prosecution service that I ran. So I said, Of course I'll see you. They came down and I shut up.
Thank you for the 999. Thank you. It's crazy that we live in a society where the leader of a country feels that they have attend some lesbian women bullshit panel. Feels like they have to attend some lesbian women bullshit panel. These people are the worst part of society, I assume is what that's supposed to mean. Sean, YouTube Trash, thank you. Huge appreciate for the $10. Thank you. I wish prime ministers and shit didn't have to do like media tours, but they do. But they do. I'm glad Keir's getting out there more.
I said, I'm not going to talk. You just talk to me all the way through everything that's happened to you. At the end of the meeting, I said, we're going to do this together. We're going to change this together. The same on the cost of living, same on child poverty. Listening in a way it's just taking in what people feel, which is really important.
Youth violence. People, you've got 17 and 15-year-old people are frightened for their kids to go out. This is where we're at.
And we need to tackle knife crime in particular.
LT, you're gonna have to make your mind up on your prediction soon, okay? Either it's Zach Polanski or Farage. You can't flick back between the two every week. That's just like you're not predicting at that point. You're not making predictions if you change from one side to the other every week.
Young people who are very vulnerable and scared themselves about it.
You had a letter today from, I think, 39 MPs about this change to courts and to non-jury trials. I wonder how much you think that's going to help women, because over 50% of judges are white, over 50-year-old men, and they're going to be sitting on cases particularly of lesser sexual violence and so on. So the whole legal system, as we already know, as you know very well, is broken when it comes to seeing perpetrators brought to justice. And this is just going to make it worse. Women won't have a voice.
Well, the way I come at this is at the moment, we've got a broken criminal justice system. The last government left it in a complete mess. And after working in it for so many years, it breaks my heart they did that.
But how long would it take?
I think women banning choking porn is bad. You ever heard of this thing American women tried called prohibition? Thank you for the $4.99.
To bring your promises to fruition.
One of the reasons we're doing what we're doing on jurors is I'm not prepared to tolerate those that have been subject to serious sexual violence waiting 3 or 4 years to come. I've looked survivors in the eye.
But the system is a 50-year-old and above white men sitting in judgment over women who've experienced, you know, those sorts of cases. Listen, I just want to know, what's the worst day you've had so far? Because there must be a lot to...
Well, yeah, but what difference can you make about that?
Old men and...
I shut up. I said, I'm not going to talk. You just talk to me all the way through everything that's happened to you. At the end of the meeting, I said, we're going to do this together. We're going to change this together. The same on the cost of living, same on child poverty. Listening in a way it's just taking in what people feel, which is really important.
Youth violence. People, you've got 17 and 15-year-old people are frightened for their kids to go out. This is where we're at.
And we need to tackle knife crime in particular.
But again, this is like another thing. It's like, it's down, dude. It's like the fear-mongering about London all the time, man, when violence is like down, like, overall. It's so annoying, man. I'm sick of it. I hate crime, fear-mongering. I hate the way everyone acts like, oh, society's collapsing, it's a low-trust society, everyone's stabbing each other. It's just not true, man. It's not true. It's like one of the safest points in fucking human history. It's just so fucking annoying. Like, you have to actually be like, you know, you've got like some anxiety issue or psychosis or something if you're actually like worried about, oh my god, it's really scary out there. It's getting even scarier out there. It's not. It ain't at all.
Young people who are very vulnerable and scared themselves about it.
You had a letter today from, I think, 39 MPs about this change to courts and to non-jury trials. I wonder how much you think that's going to help women, because over 50% of judges are white, over 50-year-old men, and they're going to be sitting on...
It's like you hear, it's all those things, like you hear, like parents will say shit like, parents or grandparents and shit like that will say shit like, oh, you know, oh, when I was a kid or when I had kids or whatever the fuck, you know, could you just go out in the road and go out and play with all the other kids in the area? You should go out and as long as you're back before dark, it'll be fine. Yeah, all this shit. You can still do that in like a lot of areas. You could never do that in cities. You could never do that in cities. And I'm pretty sure if you looked into it, it would be safer to do that now than ever. Kids have phones. You know, the thing is that you just didn't hear about the bad shit happening when it was back when that was, it was like back then, right? When it was like 50 years ago or whatever. You shouldn't hear about bad shit happening. You know, the fucking kid just got molested by some neighbor and then never spoke about it because, and if they did, you know, you probably screamed at them and told them to stop lying about, you know, whatever. That's the reality, right? It's not a case of things have been more dangerous. It's you hear about it more, and honestly, things are probably safer. It's just so fucking annoying, but people act so hysterical. People act totally hysterical, like we live in low trust. Oh, it's just so fucking dangerous out there. It ain't. It ain't.
On cases, particularly of lesser sexual violence and so on. So the whole legal system, as we already know, as you know very well, is broken when it comes to seeing perpetrators brought to justice. And this is just going to make it worse. Women won't have a voice.
Well, the way I come at this is at the moment, we've got a broken criminal justice system. The last government left it in a complete...
Dude, what is that old PSA? Someone's going to know what I'm talking about, surely. There is an old PSA, I believe, about kids playing on a farm. And it's like Final Destination. They like all get killed in like insane ways. It's trying to tell you, don't fuck around with farm equipment when you're left unattended or whatever the fuck. I swear this is a thing, man. Let me try asking Gemini. Old British ? I think British. It might be Aussie or something. I'm not sure. PSA for kids about not playing around when unattended with farm equipment. I think they all die. What is it? ? Yo, I remember that. The kid gets murked by a combine harvester. Yes. Apaches. That's it. Apaches. That's what it's called. Released in 1977, it is widely considered one of the most terrifying and traumatic public information films ever shown in British schools. This is the sort of PSAs they had to show kids in school back in the day, right? Because kids were just fucking retarded and parents were just letting kids run around do whatever the fuck they want. Because she's like, oh, well, I don't have pre-TikTok on their phone. They can't make any, you know, actual accurate risk assessment about leaving their kids alone and shit. It's like, it's just a pure delusion, a pure psychosis that has taken over people. They believe the world is more dangerous now. That you can't let your kids go out and play now. It's retarded.
I didn't poison it would look like.
Being shown. I remember literally. I feel like I remember being in like, what year? I want to say I would have been in like year 9 or 10. So how old is that? That's like 14, right? 13, 14, I think. Around that. I remember him just showing. I can't remember if they showed this one. Or if I saw this one on YouTube, because people would always talk about it, how insane it was. I can't remember if they showed this one. I know they definitely showed... Dude, what's the one where the car rolls? Yeah.
She's got a smile that it seems.
Dude, this one's horrific. This one is horrific. The bright blue sky. I remember him showing this in school, bro. I'm pretty sure my tutor or whatever showed just like a bunch of like insane PSAs just about look how insane these are, and they're like the most horrific shit you've ever seen. YouTube on the projector type shit.
I'd probably break down and cry.
Dude.
Since 2000,
Squelch,
speeding
man.
has killed a classroom of our children. Shame on you.
Fucking squelch. Was the squelch edited in, or did they actually have the squelch in, man? It's so crazy. And then, dude, there were so many crazy PSAs. I'm just remembering PSAs now. There's the David Tennant narrated online grooming PSA. We all remember this. All Brits remember this. We all remember this. Yeah, this one.
You can be.
David Tennant writing an anti-grooming PSA.
There's a fantastical world where you can be whoever you want and do whatever your heart desires.
At height of David Tennant popularity.
It may sound like a faraway place, but it's closer than you think. This place.
Holy shit, Newsround. Dude, I remember watching Newsround in the fucking mornings and shit.
Internet. And for one lonely princess, it was everything she needed. From her attic room at the top of a giant castle, she could do whatever she liked. But it's also the place where Evil Arrow lives. Dangerous things happen when he's around. Things you wouldn't want to happen to you.
Dude.
Our story about Lost Princess and her new friend White Knight is made up.
Hi. Hey, Princess.
They call him White Knight, bro. They call the
But what
paedophile
happens to
White
the
Knight.
children we meet when Evil Arrow comes along is very, very real. Now, where was it? Ah, yes. Our heroine, Lost Princess. She lived in a castle. Except, I suppose, well, it wasn't a castle, more like a house on a street, alongside hundreds of others. Lost Princess took a lot of care over her appearance, but online there were no limits. She could look however she wanted.
I've got green.
So yeah, it's like a Club Penguin type, Habbo type, you know, fucking social media thing, and she fucking, you know, goes and meets up with this guy, and obviously he's old as fuck.
A friend of a friend.
Where
Where
is
are
it?
you, White Knight? The gig's about to start. Shall I see you inside?
She'd felt safe online, but Lost Princess had never been to a gig before and began to feel like she shouldn't have come.
White Knight, I'm going home. Is it your mum? No. What's the matter? I'm not 13. I'm 11. Oh. See? Now you're really angry. You don't want to see me
Am I crazy, or are 11-year-olds like not allowed to go to gigs on their own? Am I like totally insane, or is it not usually like children under 12 or 13 have to be accompanied at like every gig? Have I not seen that on like every gig ticket I've ever purchased?
I do. I'd like you whatever age you are. Really? You'd like me just the same, wouldn't you? Yeah, of course.
Dude.
If I was 14 or 40. 40?
I've got something to tell you too. It's all right, Princess. It's White Knight.
Wait, what are you doing here, mate? This gig's for kids.
Oh,
White
it's a
Knight
kid's
had been
gig. Oh,
lying
okay.
all along just to get Lost Princess to like him. He knew it was wrong to talk to children he didn't know, but that didn't stop him. Meeting them online meant no one would know who he really was.
Home stuff.
And because he was a grown-up, he knew how to get people like Lost Princess to trust him.
Right, mate, this way.
Lost Princess began
This guy does not have aura. This guy doesn't have Epstein aura. Anyway, you get the idea. You get the idea.
Mess. And after working in it for so many years, it breaks my heart they did that.
But how long would it take to bring your promises to fruition?
One of the
Because we
reasons
hear the
we're doing
promises.
what we're doing on jurors is I'm not prepared to tolerate those that have been subject to serious sexual violence waiting 3 or 4 years to come. I've looked survivors in the eye.
But the system is a 50-year-old and above white men sitting in judgment over women who've experienced, you know, those sorts of cases. Listen, I just want to know what's the worst day you've had so far, because there must be a lot to choose from.
And you better not say loose women. Yeah.
Look, there's been plenty of challenges. I'll tell you the very worst, and it was actually it was the day of the election. and it nearly broke my heart because we had 10 o'clock of day of election. We had the exit poll, which comes about a minute afterwards, and it said Labour's got a landslide victory. I was with my team and my family. I jumped up and punched the air as I would if Arsenal had just scored a fantastic goal. And my little girl, then 13, burst into tears and was inconsolable. And that it ripped through me. I had these two emotions totally through my body.
I think that's what people want to know. If you've got a heart.
They want to know that
you've got a heart.
Yeah.
Because
No, they want to know. They want to know.
Unfortunately, she is correct there. People do just want to see Keir as an actual person. He's not very good at doing that. Dude, it's like literally, you have a... Okay, moving into something else. Moving into the Epstein stuff. I don't think he comes off as heartless either, but apparently other people